Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Today, this is the culmination, the end of update 1.35. Tomorrow, update 1.36 lands. Tomorrow, update 1.36 lands, and with that, tonight is the end of our little stint with the Tokyo 600. Teach yourself to grind, make grinding easy, make grinding enjoyable. We were taking every car we could possibly find from the race and a few more and competing them against the race and see if you could win the race. It was quick enough, we can get time to get 2 in an hour, so we can make 1.5 million plus credits an hour if we got the clean race bonus. Did the car go under 27 minutes? Did it do a 2:10 lap? Did it do a 2:08 lap? Did it do a whatever 2:06? Was it good enough to drive? Did it get us the clean race bonus? They were all the questions we were asking. They were what keep us amused. They were keeping us what we're going. And we took our bank balance from 10 million credits to 33 million credits. And we bought around about 20 cars. And we modified them, customized them so that they could all win the race. Absolutely fantastic. But what we're going to do now, the end of it's here. We're going to run a race against all those cars we set up. And we're going to put them in a single race with the drivers who were driving them, but in my car. Do you know how to do that? We're going to use a function called custom race, and we'll find that in World Circuits. So we go to the race center itself into Tokyo, and under the bottom there you can see custom race. Click on the custom race, pick the circuit that is the Tokyo Expressway, which is east clockwise. And it takes you to this menu. This menu on the left hand side shows you some setup. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to do a lap race. And you just go through with your left and right mouse buttons. We're going to take it to 12, the cursor buttons or your D-pad buttons or whatever. 12 laps. We're going to have 20 cars and we're going to start last on the grid. Rolling start. It says here rolling start interval of 20 meters. I'm going to see if that'll let us do 50 meters. It won't. It only lets us do 15 meters. It doesn't matter what we do, it's only 15 meters. Boost is going to be real. Let me look. We're going to go through all of these anyway, and then we're going to set them up. So if I load the settings, which I've already pre-saved, I'm going to load. Here we go. So we've got, if I go all the way to the top, 12 laps, 20 cars, 20 on the grid, rolling start, 15 meter intervals because it won't let you select anything else, as we just said. I'm going to try it. No, 15 meters. I think that is purely because of the size of the grid in Tokyo. You can only get that many cars within the starting area, and that'll be why. It's not a bug. I generally think it's the grid. It's track specific. Boost is off, slipstream real. And if this is like the setups we do on the car, folks, freeze frame this, do your settings as you need to. Light mechanical damage, which represents what's in the race. Tyre wear is 25 times. Slipstream is real strength, if I miss that. Fuel consumption rate is 3 times. Refueling, I've estimated 6 litre per second. It doesn't matter that it's any different from the race because everybody that pits is going to get stuck with the same thing. And the only thing that's going to differ for you is you don't pit, you'll have a massive advantage. We'll see. Grip reduction off track real, no nitrous, which is fine. Custom weather, preset off, equal conditions off. I've chosen night time. Variable speed limit 0, and then I've set rain as cloudless with warm rain, light drizzle, cloudy, cloudy and chilly, cloudy and dark. Rivals, select from garage. Car category doesn't matter. Select from garage. Professional level on rival difficulty. We're going to come back to this option in a moment, folks. Shortcut penalty strong. Wall collision off. Car collision penalty off. Correct vehicle after wall collision off. Pit lane cutting penalty off. Flag rules, sorry, on. And then flag rules on. And that completes the setup. I would at this point go and save settings, come up to Tokyo, overwrite, yes, call it Tokyo, settings are saved, go back to here. Now let's go to rival select from garage. This is the bit that's a little bit difficult, folks. Select from garage, select from garage. You will get a list of nondescript drivers and the cars, and what you have to do is go into each one, change car, go and find the car that you think is the appropriate one. So Mr. Gallo, if I change this to last used, oh, and I've got a little tip here, folks. Do you know what this menu is in the top left hand corner? Everybody knows what this one is up here. If you don't know what this one is, you can go through here and select by manufacturer. We can go to Honda, and then we can select the car which Gallo used, which is the NSX17 with my skin. Now, if you didn't know about this one, because I didn't, and it took me a couple of clever fellas to work out that I didn't know what this menu is. And so thank you to the guys on my channel, the guys that come and race with me weekly, for telling me, well, this has solved so many problems for me. But there we go. Select Gallo's car. It's the Honda NSX17. Then you have to go in and change driver name. So you'll find your driver name and you can go in and type it. As you can tell, I've put my drivers' names as I want them. I've tried to match their countries. I've got them wrong. Please don't crucify me. But they're all in there. And because I wanted to do a 20-car race, I've also added some people who are very special to the channel. So you probably won't see them in the race because they'll be at the back of the grid, and I'll hope we're going much faster, but we'll see. So do you want to change these? No. Down to the bottom and apply, and it will save them, then save the settings again. Now if you need to move yourself from 10th place on the grid, so if you're the person in 10th place here and you want to adjust grid, you get a little blue line. If you move that down to where you want them to be, they will end up, press go now, and they will end up right at the bottom. Okay, and then go to save settings, Tokyo, overwrite, yes, okay, okay. Click out, and that's done. So then, folks, we're now at the race. Let's go to the race. So here we are. This is that finale we've all talked about. And what's today's car? Well, you might have seen it in the list. You can see the list that we have there of cars, the opponents. I think they're going to be up there, aren't they? Well, today's car, folks, is going to be a car that isn't in the race. I've probably got another dozen cars I can include. But this one for me, I need to tell you, JB recommended, and he's always wanted me to do the TVR. There's only one TVR in the game. It's a classic, but it's a pig dog to drive, and I can't get my head around getting it around the circuit and make it look decent. It made a rubbish video, and it was showing me for what I am as a driver, so I didn't do that. There's also half a dozen other Porsches that want to go in. I was hoping to use the Subaru WRX Type R, but I didn't get a chance to do that. I was hoping to do a number of Porsches. I wanted to do a Ferrari, etc., but I haven't done them. This is the car I've chosen to do it with, the MP4 12C. It's on Sports Hards. It says 599.87 pp. It's running 606 brake horsepower, so it's up there with the crew, and it's rear-wheel drive, this thing. Height adjustable sort of suspension, totally default. Active LSD controller, totally default. Downforce, it's running a front wing, it's running side skirts, it's not running a rear valance, but it is running a high rear ring. Downforce set to 70 and 280. ECU is normal, no ballast or no power restrictor. Fully customizable manual. This comes in at 370. I knocked it down to 360. It might suffer a bit with the draft, but I don't intend to be in any drafts. Turbocharger is normal. We've got anti-lag, but it's off. Intercooler normal. Normal air cleaner. Sport silencer. Racing brake pads. Normal brake system. Brake controller. I haven't really done anything with that as yet. Nothing else, and it's got increased body rigidity. So, settings for me. Assists. Traction control 1. Default ABS. Counter steer assistance strong. So folks, with this car we have to be prepared for it not to be able to brake very well. It's going to be hugely quick, fuel consumption is going to be phenomenal, and we might have to just be aware. We've got 20 cars on track, it's going to be busy, and we're racing against our heroes from this race, our hero cars that we've taken to a win, and we've got to try and beat it. They're all going to go on their pit strategies depending on, I've used exactly the same setup on them, and you must go into your cars and leave the setup that you want them to race on. If you've got multiple pages, make sure you're on the 600 pp one. So I'm effectively going to race against all of these cars, and they're going to pit on the strategy that they want to pit on. We've not told them what tyres to use. They're going to use what tyres are set on that setup within the limits of the race. Okay, within the race rules. So they'll only use medium or hards. We'll have to see how we go. Are we ready, folks? I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be. So here we go, folks. Power on one. Brake balance to the front. So in front of us we have Mr. Az, Mr. Steve W, Mr. Ray Guy, and Mr. JB, the biggest contributors to the channel, all there in front of us. And there are many others of you, so if you're not on here, please don't feel put out. They were just the four people that supported the channel, and they have their place in the history of the channel. So here we go, we're around the outside. No damage. Oh, don't hit the wall. We hit the wall once. Up behind Mr. Gentry, Steve W and Mr. JB are trying to fight their way in amongst the crowd. Here we go, down the inside. We're going to see how far we can get. We're just caught up with the main pack, but Mr. Az is up there in 14th. He's going to mess with the whole mix of the race here, but he's in that what is it called? He's in that Viper. My brain's gone already. Well, this is hardcore stuff. Mr. Grady in 15th place. We're usually further at the pack here, but don't forget these are on much more well-tuned setups. All of these boys in front. We're 6 seconds behind. Mr. Frog is in the lead. He's taking it from Gallo. That's an upset. Right, Mr. Az is just boxing us out here. We've got to totally fight these boys. We should be able to make inroads as we come off the start-finish straight, surely, as we get down here. Right, we've got to brake on the 200 in 5th gear. Don't change up in this car. On the 200, there we go. Oh, we've got punted. Oh, we've got rear end damage. I don't know who that is. We're with Mr. Bouvar, who's also showing damage on the rear. So approaching Mr. Cookaboo, who's normally much further up the pack. He's pushing us out to the left. Oh, we bounce off the wall. So we come through the first lap, having done, here we go, a 2:22. So that's a pretty decent lap time. We are 11th. Mr. Gallo leads out Mr. Hazal with Mr. Fraga in 3rd. And that's as much as she wrote, because I can't give you the rest at this point. This is going to be some race. Going to break on a roundabout just before the 200. There's an incident up front. Oh, they're all clearing out of the way. We've hit a couple as well. Oh, my Lord. I think we're alongside Mr. Yamanaka there. Mr. Hayward in front of us. He's normally not quite so far up, but he's in my tuned version of that car. Mr. Blazan competing around where he would normally compete, it looks. Oh, they're much later on the brakes. Oh, Mr. Blazan not giving us the room we're entitled to. Mr. Miazano running in 5th, so we're pretty much doing what we should do. Oh, just touched the wall. This is messy, but my Christ, these guys are quick. As was the fastest lap of the race as well, a 2:22.945 out lap. Oh, that's quite impressive. So up into 5th place. So Mr. Gallo leads, Mr. Fraga, Mr. Suswillow in 3rd, Mr. Hazal 4th. We're in 5th. Mr. Hayward in 6th. So these are normally the guys we see at the front. Mr. Miazano back there in 7th and Mr. Yamanaka in 8th. We're 10 seconds up. Let's see what the lap times are going to be. How's fuel looking? We're doing alright, 5 laps of fuel. That might take us all the way, we should see. We'd definitely get to end of lap 6. Tyres are looking like they're going to need changing at the end of lap 6. That's a 2:12.004 and it's the fastest of the leaders. We're just about to get into Mr. Hazal's slipstream, so we're going to go 200 mile an hour as he exit the ramp out of the tunnel. Mr. Frager in front in the silver Supra. We used to see him in a black one. Going to brake just on the end of there, on the end of that white line. Mr. Gallo has lost out to Mr. Frager and Mr. Suswillow. But Mr. Frager, Mr. Gallo won't be used to running hard tyres. He's used to running mediums. He has well dropped back, so we're now chasing down these boys. And tell you what, look at the recommended car that we thought was the best tuned car for this race. Mr. Suswillow's in it. And he's running my tune and he's much quicker, isn't he? I'm going to get him down the inside, I think. Yeah, we just compromised his racing line, put him out of it. And we're going to be a second quicker. How much more of an interesting race is this going to be? I'm now trying to remember back to all those cars that we ran 7 laps. I know they won't fuel save quite as much, but we're going to have to be attentive against who is going to be pitting where and when. Is Mr. Suswillow going to gain on us around these corners? No, we've got quite a decent lead coming through there, so 1.17 seconds up. That'll see us as a 2:10 on lap 3. That makes this a decent car. I really didn't want to come to this last race and present you with a rerun of a car I'd run before. It had to be something new for me, so a 2:10.6, which is pretty tip-top. 1 second ahead of Suswillow. Hayward up to 3rd place. Mr. Gallo in 4th. Frager in 5th. Hazal 6th. Solis 7th. Mr. Ray Guy absolutely excelling up there in 8th. Tip-top-aroo. As we dive into turn 1, Mr. Suswillow is with us as we expected. And he's not backing down. And Mr. Ray Guy, who has followed this series from the early days, commented on virtually every video. That's impressive to see him up there. But was that his choice of car, I wonder? Would he have chosen Mr. Suswillow's car? We'll have to see how he gets on with the rest of the race as we bounce off the wall. Our tyres are wearing fairly evenly. Mr. Suswillow, are we pulling out on you? We gained a second on you. We're two seconds up. Using 4th to get through these gears. Yeah, we're pulling out another second. It's a car that you can just dab the brakes on. So, as we come round to the end of lap 4, I'll give you a rundown of who's where, as we always do. So we lead out. It looks like we're going to be dipping our toes in the 209s on lap 4. Mr. Suswillow 4.368 seconds back in 2nd. Mr. Hayward 3rd. Mr. Gallo 4th. Mr. Frager in 5th. Mr. Hazal in 6th. Mr. Solis in 7th. And Mr. Ray Guy in 8th. We've just done a 209.995. That makes this a pretty decent car. It looks like we're going to get into the pit stop on lap 6 with about half a tank of fuel. So we're going to get a 5.5 lap pit stop. So we're going to be okay on fuel to get all the way around. We're going to have to change tyres, I think. It's going to be touch and go whether this car is going to be a 26 sub. But it was a very different first couple of laps. We have to understand that there's 20 cars on the track and they're all going extremely quickly. There's a couple of cars I expect to be spat out the back, and I can see a couple out there. I just hope it's only the cars that we thought would be pretty slow. And I'm hoping they're just the also-rans from the race. I've got no idea who's down there. So Mr. Hazal's just overtaken Mr. Ray Guy. That's the Impreza 22B. Not much movement. No, Mr. Ray Guy has moved up to 5th place. Oh my lord, I'm going to have to give you a rundown. I never saw that happen. I thought Mr. Hazal had done that, but there's me concentrating on the race, not the actual things that are happening. So we're leading out Mr. Haywood now, 4.956 behind. Mr. Suswillow has dropped back down to 3rd, and Mr. Haywood's in the Lamborghini. So Mr. Gallo in 4th, Mr. Ray Guy up to 5th, absolutely flying. Mr. Fraga in 6th, Mr. Solis in 7th, Mr. Hazal in 8th. Are we going to come through with another 209? It's just a 210. And this is the pit in lap. So is anybody going to take to the pits this time round? It doesn't look so. Mr. Haywood is absolutely thriving. He's 3.4 seconds behind us in that Lamborghini Huracan. He is absolutely charging. Mr. Haywood's actually put in a 209.510. We need to focus, get our eyes down and get this car into it. It's Mr. Gentry now slips his way past Mr. Fraga. We do know that that Viper, whichever one it was, the one with the funky paint scheme, I can't remember, SRT10 I believe is the model, is an absolute flyer. We knew that from when we raced it. It was a trick motor. But he's made his way up to 7th. Mr. Ray Guy up to 4th. I couldn't have wrote it better myself. Front tyres just starting to shed a bit of life, but we're 1.8 seconds quicker. That's one thing about this car. If you want to steer those front wheels and steer the car into the corners, you can. It will absolutely power round. So we've managed to get that lap time back out to 4.6. The gap between us and Mr. Haywood. I would recommend leaving it in 5th and you get to this braking point. The car arrives just a little bit faster than normal if you change up to 6th. Get around this corner. We're very, very light on fuel. We're going to the pits now with half a second up on that fastest lap. So this would see us with the fastest lap around about a 2:08, which would be epic. We're going to try that in the second half. So here we go, flying into the pits. We're going to take another set of hards and we're going to fuel up to 6.2 laps. Is anybody going to keep going? Are they going to go past Mr. Haywood's into the pits? Mr. Suswillow pits. Mr. Ray Guy pits. Who else is coming in? Is everybody coming in? It looks like it. Going to 6.2. No, Mr. Yamanaka carries on in the Supra, and he's gone like a lightning bolt. Look at him go. Mr. Haywood's released from the pits. He's just taken a little time to get up to speed, but Mr. Yamanaka some 6.4 seconds in the lead. Mr. Az just released from his pit box. Mr. Gentry taking quite a pit stop, but Steve W is up there, up into 5th place. Well, this is all getting really good. So need to give you a rundown to make out what's happened after the pit stops. Mr. Yamanaka in 1st place, but he's only 3 seconds ahead. My kind of guess is he's stretched his fuel to get himself that extra lap. He won't be on mediums. We're just catching him now because we got the speed. But he's going slowly. So that's us back into 1st place in an absolute flyer. Mr. Hayward in 3rd, Mr. Suswillow in 4th, Mr. Steve W up in 5th. That was a exceptional pit stop, unless he's come through the pack and not stopped yet. We'll see that next lap out, I'm pretty sure. Mr. Ray Guy in 6th place, Mr. Az into 7th, Mr. Gentry into 8th. Absolutely tipped off stuff, guys. Braking on the 200, get out to the wider line. Now I tried to set up the weather conditions to represent the track. We can see the dry line forming as it does in the race. As we come down the start-finish straight. So that's the end of the out lap. We're going to start to set up for the first flying lap. We're hoping to get that fastest lap back now, but Mr. Hayward is highly likely to try and dominate again. Is Mr. Yamanaka going to the pits? Yes, he is. Now we'll see who else goes to the pits as they all come round there. They're just entering the start-finish straight now. We've got quite a lead over Mr. Hayward. Some 13 seconds we've pulled it out to, which is no real surprise. We're going to brake on the apex of that white line. Mr. Ray Guy in 4th place, Mr. Az in 5th, Mr. Steve W in 7th. This is epic. Well done, chaps. So, I've got to give you a rundown. I've got to tell you where we are. Oh, I'm losing the front end. Come on, get it back in. We need these purple sectors. We're just outside by 0.84. 0.084. See if we can pop in a faster second half. As we get to the top end of the lap, I'll give you a rundown. I just want to keep my eyes where they need to be for now. It's exciting stuff. I don't actually think there are actually really any lemons when we were racing this. I didn't really provide you with anything that's an absolute bag of poo that won't actually go around this track. I filtered through a lot of cars to give you those ones that do perform. So here we go, running into the back end of lap 8. I'm going to leave it in 5th. I'm going to brake on the 200. It delivers me much better into that final corner. I'm braking in 5th. So we're 13, 14 almost seconds ahead of Mr. Hayward. We're half a second up. This will be our fastest lap at this point then. He's actually taken a second back out of us there. Mr. Hayward in 2nd, Mr. Rayguard 3rd, Mr. Suswillow in 4th place, Mr. Az in 5th, Mr. Gentry in 6th, Mr. Solis in 7th, Mr. Steve W in 8th place. That's a 2:09.658. We didn't get the fastest lap. We were slow out that final corner. Let's get it this time. Eyes down, full house. Let's see where we go. I'm going to absolutely try and nail this one now. Arriving into turn 1 exceedingly quickly. Up to 3rd gear, down, keep it on the brakes, keep it in 3rd, hit that apex, get the power down. Mr. Gentry just making his way up through the field by the looks of it. In that SRT10, which is an extremely quick. He was the only guy we sacked halfway through the series, didn't it, Mr. Gentry? we actually did for his job, I think. He's trying to get his own back on us. Slight bump on the wall, that shouldn't be too bad for us. Need to be aware of that next time we come round. We're a second. Ray Guy, a 2:03. Holy Chipotle. Well, there's the fastest lap gone. We're not catching that bad boy. Mr. Ray Guy, what are you doing, man? Whoa. The AI love that setup, don't they? There's no way in the world I'm beating that fastest lap. Not a chance. Mr. Ray Guy's found the car he loves. He's up into third place. Look at that. I'm absolutely gobsmacked at that point. We've just done a 2:08.830, but we've got to find another 5 seconds to beat Mr. Ray Guy. Holy hell. Whoa, you're not supposed to be shining. I'm supposed to be the one that's shining on this video, not blooming heck. Wow. That's taking membership to extreme limits. Here we go then, lap 10. We would have the fastest lap of the race if it wasn't for our members coming to the front and taking the limelight, but we're going to go for it. We're going to hammer it out anyway. We're 10 seconds. We're losing time against the guys behind us. This is going to be the closest race we've ever had at the Tokyo 600. We're just 10 seconds ahead. We're losing out to the guys behind. Mr. Ray Guy's going to have to stop for a new set of tyres. I'm 100% sure of it, because he's burning them up. We're just outside the fastest lap time by 0.023 of a second. We just need to go like a rocket. I think we're just slower than our best time, not slower than the fastest lap. Have to just make sure we get into this final corner and just do what we can do. Mr. Ray Guy has made it up into second place. And he's going to be catching us, I think. I'm now trying to frantically think what car I put him in. Down to 9 seconds, 8 seconds in the lead. He's coming. That was a 2:08.604. That's our fastest lap. He's 8.4 seconds behind us. He's like a rocket. 8.3, 8.2. We've got 2 laps to try and keep him behind us. Gonna brake on the apex of that white line. Brake right down through the gears. Force the engine to do and the gearbox to do all the work. 7 seconds behind us. He's charging like an absolute rocket. I'm absolutely worn out. I'm on 11 laps, but I'm shaking, I'm sweating. I'm just not trying to comprehend just how fast he's going. We're a quarter of a second up on our fastest lap time. Gonna have to give you a rundown of positions, aren't I? Just to let you know who's up there and who's doing what. Let me get through these faster corners. We're gonna put in our fastest lap again if we can get this right. So we're in first place, leading by 8.3 seconds. Mr. Ray Guy in second. who is tearing limb from limb on our lap time just to try and get close to us. Mr. Haywood in third, Mr. Suswillow in fourth, Mr. Gentry from all the way from the back of the grid into fifth place, Mr. Az in sixth from just behind his position, Mr. Solis in seventh, Mr. Blas in an eighth for some sort of normality for people in the places they should be. 1.2 laps of fuel remaining. I was kind of hoping we'd be tight, we're not as tight as that, but we are. This should take us exactly to the line. We should hit the line at 0.09, no, 1.1, we're good, we've got enough. 6.2 in the lead though. They are absolutely chasing us down. This is not over by any means, and we didn't get improved on our fastest lap. 2:08.973. There's 3 people gone to the pits though. Mr. Gentry, Mr. Azan, Mr. Blazan, so that's changing things. Unlucky chaps, you must be short on fuel. I'm looking at what you've got. That looked like silly pit stops to me. We're just 5 seconds ahead of Mr. Ray Guy. The guys just took fuel and came out the pit stops. We're not going to actually be lapping anybody, it looks like, which is great. To say my tunes are prevent you being lapped, which is good. That's one thumbs up for my tuning capabilities, one would say. But I've always said it's not the tune, it's the driver. Here we're coming through the last series of final corners. We're 7.4 seconds in the lead. And I'm looking at the lap time thinking 25:57, 26. This could be the fastest car we've ever took to the track on overall lap time. This could be the absolute money maker if we're talking about the ultimate grinding car, because I haven't talked about this one much. It speaks for itself. It's an absolute rocket ship. It's great on fuel. It's easy to drive. You just have to manipulate it, predict where it's going. We're not going to do a 26:30, which we've done in the engine swap, but we are going to cross the line in first place ahead of Mr. Suswillow. Mr. Suswillow has overtaken Mr. Ray Guy in third place, Mr. Haywood in fourth, and I've lost it. I'm all a fluster, but we're going to check the results. There it is, the fastest car of the day, the McLaren MP4, absolutely blinding. But what a tremendous race that was. Oh, I've got a right sweat on. My glasses are steaming up and everything. But there she is. What a race. So Mr. Suswillow in second place, just ahead of Mr. Ray Guy. Mr. Ray Guy in the Viper GTS 02. What my ultimate grinding car there, the GTR17, coming in second place. The Hurricane in fourth place with Mr. Haywood. Mr. Solis in fifth. Mr. Gentry in sixth, all the way from the back of the pack. Mr. Blasen in the 911 in seventh. Mr. Az in the GTS 13. Tremendous race. Mr. Hizal in the 22B in ninth place. Mr. Fraga 10th. Mr. Gallo. Such a bad unlucky race that. And it's a capable car, Mr. Gallo. You know that, having won the race many times. Mr. Beauvoir in 12th in the Mercedes. Could have done better, I think. Mr. Takeda in the DB11. Mr. Yamanaka. Mr. Steve W, unfortunately, in the 4C in 15th. Mr. Grady down in 16th place. Mr. Konomos in 17th. Mr. Miyazano in 18th. Mr. JB in the Impreza, unlucky, down in the 19th. But Mr. Kokobun in the Armenia in last place. 1 minute 52. And the fastest lap goes to Mr. Ray Guy, a 2:03.986. The fastest lap I've ever seen here on lap 8. Absolutely tip top. We got 30,000, no clean race bonus. And that goes to show how many miles I put on for the day. But there she is, that was the car of the day, and that's what you can grind with. It was pretty decent. And that, folks, brings us to the end of that little series. As you can see, top right hand corner, it's late in the day. It's took me most of the day to get this sorted, and I do apologise for that. You're going to get this if you're in the UK tonight, so you'll be watching it tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, that's with update 1.36, and you're going to be driving the ambulance. We know you are. That's what you're going to be doing. But as a sign off from me, thank you everybody who comments on the video. Thank you my members, the subscribers, anybody who likes, shares, anything. You are doing tremendously for me. The channel is not in a bad place. We're doing okay. We're still small, but we have a dedicated following. I thank you all for doing it. Anything you do contributes to the channel, and from me, thank you very much. It's much appreciated. We'll see you on the next one, and we don't know what the next one brings, by the way, folks. I haven't told you what's coming with update 1.36. Do you want to know? Well, let's do it. We are going to do a rerun of the major races of the Human Comedy. We're going to do it with the cars from update 1.36 where we need to. We might do Tsukuba in the MX-5s. We might do the back mono, we might not. But we're definitely going to use some of the new ones for, well, Alsace, because we know one of the cars is a vintage one, which will do that. We know the MC will probably do either Deep Forest. It'll probably certainly do Deep Forest, and it'll probably do the other endurance race at what's the name of the track? Come on, folks, bring it to me. If I pause, Kyoto Park. There's my brain not working. And we will probably also be able to do the new GTR that you don't know about around the final race at Lego Maggiore. So that's going to start update 1.36, and then we're going to get into something even more exciting. But I'll not tell you about that until we get there. I'll keep you in suspenders. Alright then, folks, so all the best. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye now.